Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, Tashidalag. We're going to be doing an activity today called Prism Goggle Activity, which I think you've done already in your year 3 of your implementation phase.
that 대ring 아주 최고지 두비아인스 와 딜라 자시기 믹시에슬라니 디 로림 숨벨 옵세날 중요 레스 남바주 덴덴 체요 레스.
So we have 16 sets of prism goggles, and so I think we can do groups of 3 or 4 for the activity.
tatanda 딜라 믹시와 믹시 주주여스 디 임바순자 아주 미숨 야나 미시시 루가스니 체인스.
The instructions are in Google Classroom, as well as I've put them up here on the board, so you'll want to reference those for the instructions for the activity.
더 최고디 두비알라 람든 제로아 람든디 구글 기 징하날 샤이레스 안다나 신경라게 대통요와 안디 무슨 최고 두비온디 아니 칸즈 람든디 라시기시기 난고레스.
I'd like to spend about 45 minutes to an hour on this activity, so at least one person from the group can be the subject, but maybe we can get through 2, potentially 3 people per group.
tatanda 최고디 투즈 까마십샹안에 따 tuk주 바라 샤이인스 디 무슨 디 투즈 낭로라 아니 뇽달라 미치기다 고 최고디 차산 룹투고 레스 이네 쿠란즈 레발라 미니 야나 수메
You'll need one person who's the subject, one person who's the observer, and one person who's the data recorder.
tatdinalola misum che chikdida ko takse chesadirwa diche ani nibadi ani ko tokship chenge che ani sumbadi tojange chine misum gores.
If you scroll down in the activity, at the end you'll see a place where you can record the data for each person.
tatdigi ikchadigi ma tamadela ma chimbaina ani thangdo lensagi riumik di years.
Let's see. With respect to the activity, I wanted to just demonstrate really quickly that it's important that the star on this sheet be facing the observer. No, I'm sorry, facing the subject. Yes.
제가 녜고에 찍라 전다 개침부 찍도와 슈구디 배주 찍으러와 디가나 까마지도와 까마디 안파게 딱지 치사 딱자기 아니 코라 갑두를 캐고레스 초라.
So if I'm the subject, the star will be facing me.
더 겐라 코라 딱지 치사디이나 딱자디이나 아니 까마디 겐라기 초델레 요거와.
And Sandu's the observer, so he will be watching where I place my finger.
드네 똑십칭에 강사디기 아니 거소레 겐라기 주구디 거와 주구도 델라다고 그랬어.
And it's important to follow the instructions carefully. You don't want to put your elbow on the table like this to point to the chart.
tatanda 슈구를 주구주구로와 주구주구 백업수스 아니 주모데 쪽제갈 주야 서르데 제요 마레스 제자 람데용 칸에바 디시 손치네 아니 나로나.
So you're really going to want to really point and be very specific about where your finger is going.
제자다 주구주구 백업수스와 주구두스주네 아니 파게 딱초 가왈 샤기 나디 컵도 딱딱해야 되네 세고로다 디 난고 그랬어.
Otherwise, I think the instructions are pretty clear in the document, and so I will let you sort of get started with the activity, and we can be here to address any questions that you might have as you read through it.
단다 람드엔 제로아 람드엔데 넘버 2기 세부진에 시로아 아니 디네네 제고 고주나 디기 어레스 아니 겐라 코란즈 데유 아니 람데 디 세카 땡고야 단데 티와요나 아니 겐라 코란즈 티나 디레스.
Are there any questions before we get started?
더 티와요에스 고마 중간데라. Is it in Google Classroom? The instruction?
That's a good question. Is it actually in Google Classroom?
네.
Aha. Tell it. Hang on. But yeah. You want to do it real quick? Or. What? I don't think they have access to the drive necessarily, do they? Okay.
Google Drive nala see make la drive nala. It's not in the drive as well.
Is it not in in the Tibetan folder?
Ale English la dinal see das.
But I thought I look in the Tibetan. I moved it in there today. So there's a folder that says Tibetan, and there's a document in there in Tibetan. Look in Tibetan. Prism student Tibetan. Yes.
Drive nala see the drive.
Drive Tibetan.
Drive che and dinene lorim sumbe tanda wangza senri dirwa and dinalo la pui da ani injila ni ignu ni do dinalo pui gi igne dinala do.
Calvin, did you find it?
La Drive nalo la Neuroscience year 3 la isto.
Teaching demo and this is not the one.
No. Can you go to Drive?
Google Drive here?
Uh-huh.
I will say, oh, okay.
Oh.
Share with me? Yeah.
The Drive for our classroom.
Neuroscience la Google Classroom nala shana shatu sare.
Sure. Try that. No?
Ready.
Okay. My Drive?
Dinene download.
Classroom.
Classroom.
And Neuroscience.
Year
All the
3.
now shao.
Year 3? Uh-huh.
Dinene Classroom nala shana.
Okay, now. Yours doesn't really
Classroom
look
card.
like mine.
No response.
Okay,
You
okay,
can send
okay,
email, we can use.
okay.
On dita dena lushana.
No, some people don't have, like, it does not look like.
Yeah, the choir, eh? Yeah. Also maybe Mara download chera.
You uploaded it?
Yes, that's good. Yes.
Okay. Show me.
I linked it here.
Okay. Okay, Calden, you know where you saw the assignment? Why am I speaking in the microphone? In your Google Classroom where you saw like the assignment for the teaching demo? Maybe over the classroom?
Yeah. Oh,
And then back to our classroom?
Neuroscience year 3?
Yeah.
what do you listen.
Like, wait. Yeah.
Oh, all of this.
Let's do it.
Understand yours. Like you,
Share
you don't even have the assignments.
인지라면 되지. 비율에 돼. 알아 비율에.
Yes, yes.
다 구글 클래스룸 나 루여로. 아니 비율이 마 파블링 적었어라. 알아 로스.
Do you have it?
Yes. No, I got it.
This is Google Classroom na la
I'll
pena.
have it.
Class work na la activity teacher.
Does this group have it?
Google Class nalo ni rayong du.
There. Finding it? Doesn't everybody have it here? Yes. Okay.
Comment t'es ton soir?
Okay.
Tarji.
Okay. So everybody has the instructions, yeah?
상말로 청소아.
Okay. So go ahead and you can get into your groups, decide who's the subject, who's the observer, who's the recorder, etc.
Okay. 디체 남전도 시기체 아니 칸주 가르소래 근데 직 딱자 들어와 안에 독십 정해체 안 토양에 수수 책임 배디 랭겐데 수수 곱식엽
네, 저런 소식 네, 또.
다 도방에서 다시 이기 때도 못 찾지 놓고 말해.
연유실라서는 항상 그게 말하는 그래.
그래서 냥이
현수민씨 니도
알아. 변이지. 기운 타고스. 미셔. 미셔 야기 일 따지.
미당 틱다 서서나마도 덕질 차이
Okay, we ask them to come back together and start addressing these 4 questions. They've got about 5 to 10 minutes to think about these questions, and maybe 5 minutes, and then we'll go over them.
다 창마 수페로나스 수페네로아 넘버 창마 수페로나 수수쪽세 갈라 겐람들라 다 마슈로나 넘버 창마 수페로나 로아 다 칼소랭 아주 단다 제거다 디 치마디 카레스라바 이나델라 티와시도아 티와시디 아니 넘버소 고두르나네로아 디 까망가 요사 디 아니 다 뇽와다도 카림바디 녜바나야레샤. So they discuss the 4 questions and then answer. Do they have to answer?
Yes,
Just read. Okay.
And then I'll start talking. We'll talk about it.
Ale, chisa kamangai nanglo kamangai ringala tiwashi tuzula kyanzu tudu na antene ne kyanlagi ani kyanzu kanti nangi yins. Sen number 0 sengidwe. Datanda takje she di chamsharwa andi tiwashi de la tudu nangro nas.
actually, I don't know that that's necessary. Yeah. I mean, I don't care about it. Want to do the 5 measurements? Right. So I'm okay with just yeah. But I think that this is...
Yeah.
Can you tell far along, like where are they in the questions? Can you tell?
Tiwa callis. Tamadi. Tiwa shibadi la. Di tiwa shi chid ale. Tiwa gebal lesen. Tiwa thangbo shi di sase pagi shi di. Okay, so they're done with those 4 questions.
They're done with those 4 questions?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What about the other groups? Is everybody done?
Kanzu tiwa shi di sase. Na. Tamasen. Not yet. Tiwa shi saso. Tiwa shi len. Tiwa shi sase. Oh. Okay, they're done. Tiwa shi saso. Tiwa shi tudu sase. Done.
So everybody's pretty much done with the questions?
Yes.
All right. Come back together. Okay, let's come back together, please.
That number 2 Tonansu Teronas.
Okay, so let's talk about this experiment, and I would love to hear an observation from somebody about what did you notice in this experiment?
That the takje di korda dilarwa kanzuge tonan karichonsons ani di chiksonronas. Takje di dan dene ani tonan chungya do karichonsons. La
아니 상론 느시지요라 느실은 디어 섬서디 마주샤나 베든 요와 동센다 베드 가가지 소세시 무시마 피우리라 다가로 런제티나 데데데 레버 쓰용 무튼
so the goggle seems to be affecting our perception and where we are pointing.
Great, that's a great observation. Is there evidence that the goggles affected the pointing accuracy? So really, I think that's question 2.
제가 다지 디기 kanzu neju changdo duwa dine ani mikshe khomba digi anko de phage se takta jugu chu thuye dile shugen tegi yebe kungge pangda ro dwes
여행이랑 저기 미시에 먹임be 몰라디 아니 miktun에서 좀 못되니까라 아니 그게 모당 치간을 드스라 아니 미시 괜히서라 때문에 miktun을 지듯잖아 배 파기 게보도 모당 게보도 되는지 봐도
there was a big difference between the accuracy without the goggles and with the goggles. With the goggles it points far to the left. Without the goggle you point quite close to the actual line.
And is that an observation that all of the groups noticed?
the kanzu changme dona chungsmes dinegi shugen yobadi. Yes.
Did the pointing accuracy change over time? And if so, how do they know that?
tadi zuguzu takta thiye chora di thangbo mikshe khone go zudu dida ane jela che tik du ke drosmes dila kongge pangda ke us
세트
ya di che tik du droswe ta thangbo mikshe khone nangya dida jela ane mikshe khone nangya dila ya ke ba us
Tela chabar desendos. 아니 담보 무시 마죠 무시 주니 니타야타 지라 무시 주니 타야니라 아니 셋 지라데 요코노스 야나 티지라 무시 마죠나 타시체데 잠발라 모마나지 야만도 야 베데 카르스고레 양지라티샤스.
So the second time they did it with goggles, the accuracy was greater. So they were pointing closer to the line. But then, after that, when they took off the goggles and try it without goggles, then, their accuracy was affected.
In which direction was the accuracy affected when you took the goggles off for the second time?
The jailer sara nibadi chedu mikshe pyu because the ani karsore mikshe pyu ne zugu zu yundu an che tikle di kwa chola yo cho che shas.
지단 돈 도. ngama 지단 돈이 도.
ye chola right? Ye chola.
positive chola.
negative.
Ye chola kyogude. Ye chola, yeah, to the right.
To the right.
Uh-huh.
Right. Okay. And that's a consistent observation for all the groups?
Di changma la jikba chungsu mes. Jailer mikshe pyu ne di nangdu zamba la ye la kyogude wes. Ye la.
Great. So yesterday we talked about language and about vocal learning. Why did we do this task today? Can they draw a connection between what we talked about yesterday and this task today?
계산한주 더 게다 아니 나게 나다 나라 템베 케슬라고라도 니니 콜 장버와스 드링아주 데 딱지디 제버와스 니니 바랄 데와 카리어서레스 라
yo dirige na parque ya bolejo ote to ne gela ding ani chiti dala ne yo shilana ni yerji dwa jwa odi chi gore.
Maybe the connection lies with the need for repetition. As we repeat more and more, our accuracy increases. We are learning more and more.
So is that that occurs in the vocal learning and in this task? Is that the connection that he's drawing?
제가 강기 된데 제가 두 슬라이드 아주 나기 톤에다 장애지어와 깨라 때니 장애디 데라야 고 디단스 안 탄다데 제고 디나로라 아니 가조 꺄도 제바 디수기 야가 신기 두슬라니 제와 디르베스. Yes.
Okay, great. That's exactly what I was thinking. Is there anybody else who wants to contribute their idea about the connection between what we talked about yesterday and this?
더 계산 아주 저도 제바다 드린 게 최고니 바랄 제와 아니 신다 가리스 익송 그냥 송해 유에스.
심바디 디니도 신사게. 배나 지우틴제 바이나 그런 게 파기 양식 게 당당다오다 지여라다. 게 틴데 선발라니 카게 부지 약간 지체 아니 찔리든지 야마 더블리든 켜버도다가서 디니도 지야 파기 믹단이 서래 장아이나 안티스 켜버도 소사레 산디니도 지 저여서다.
알레. So maybe in the case of animals, when they do vocalization, it looks like they are learning by looking at how those sounds are produced and how the tongue movements and so on. So observation of these movements allow you to learn how to produce. So there may be some connection with that.
Yes, exactly. So this is a task where you are taking some sensory information, in this case, visual information, and then doing a motor task, which is analogous to the way that we either learn language as humans or the birds learn their bird song.
아니 디 게나 송어디 카르소레 프란스에 데네 삼당기어레스 베나탄데 체고디 낭로라 아니 추 네추 아가조 왕셰기 균네 네추 랭겨와 디 네추 디레 안 데네네 아가조 구교기 자와지 지겨와 어디다 네추 랭기 구교 자와체발라 데네 아니 가조 종다 태바난 신체네 라 아니 미네다 자낭로리네다 코 아니 콘조파게 다 왕셰 균네 네추 수 레바디 페주체네 아니 장기요 레스트가 게 tuyaine다 카리나디 정다지.
So now we're going to do a demonstration that's a little bit closer to the concepts of of the vocal learning and vocal production. So Amanda's going to come over here and do a presentation, and I think we need a volunteer. We need a volunteer.
tatanda genlagi ani di karso mikden seshi ji naya res ro di nanglo la dang ajo ani thewa pheje tane nga tyonya joro di karso re khandes tyonggi yoba ta andi tone tang ajo karso re jongya di khandes yunggi yoba di nangi res andi imbasunza ngajo de la thanglang je gogodos
Excellent. Okay, so what we're going to do is demonstrate what happens when we also create an error in our sensory motor feedback for speaking. Okay, so it's important that the class stays as quiet as possible when we do this, because we're using a microphone that's pretty sensitive. Okay, I'm going to give you these headphones to wear, and I just want you to explain what you did in that activity, like what role you played in your group, as in much detail as you can.
So does he have to look at this screen?
It's just the microphone we're using.
I'll di jangda dire to an kyang gi dinar sung shang ti sir.
Nazo di nazo danda di tombo karcheresen karser di tambo di karmanda yose de soso karte shaje ani tambo mishi mage ne ani ma zumuchu ta orda mu chamje ani ma jimagi thuri dalan zumuchu ta andi chere ani de changar che chane ani chanibadel mishi kenje ani mi cham yo dage nangse jene ani jimadel thuri dala zumuchu taje ani changa jeore ani dechane ani mishi kene ani danda kamanga la korodone rochu yorda ani dechane yonjotselene ani
this no sir.
Okay, you can take them off. And can you just explain to the class what you were experiencing?
Tanda kyan di chewe kapso nyongwa do khari chongson di jik deshe nangro na.
Nyongwa khari lek dilan di ngima keje shiri zombala tinyong di keje jimba shile dekda tel tono chiri zomba soso ma keje shiye di ma shiye tuyu mundi tel vasen kone.
So he said that, you know, I kept hearing something in the microphone and my attention is diverted to that, so that affected, you know, my speech or what I was saying.
We'll do what? Let me talk and then continue another. Okay, so what he was experiencing is what we call speech jamming. I don't know if you have a translation for that.
Speech jamming, jam la na changa jane, changa jane da tangya lagore ke tangya di lagores.
So how we do that is the headphones were recording what he was saying and playing it back to him at 150 milliseconds delay.
제가 가르치고 왔을라나 코란기 깨져 시교저라 디 아니 가르차기 동차 야당업주 아니 마 대도 가르스레 치쇼체네 아니 파란자 당기요 레스.
So usually when we're speaking, we don't consciously think about it, but our brain is listening to our own voice And if we make an error in what we're saying, it will automatically correct. So if we're speaking too fast, it will slow us down. If we're going too slow, we'll speed up. If we miss a syllable or say something wrong, we'll automatically correct without thinking about it.
더 준대 아주 계지 쉐베 값수 ngaranzu ki lebagirwa ani kharsure dinyene keje dinyene ani kandes shegido dela nondrido chungbaina leba lamsan yosando chigio res pen gyokbu shiu shegido shebaina ni ko thedu tanya ro thebu shigio na gyodu tanya ya chigdo ji chesuna ko sojo ya di ngaranzu thonan chunggo mare ine lebagi chawadi chedeo res.
So when we get that delayed auditory feedback, we don't realize that we haven't finished a word yet. And so I couldn't tell, but you probably, when you hit vowels, you hang on to them longer, so you're kind of like, oh, until your brain gets the feedback of, oh, I've already said that and I can move on.
제자도 단다 가지고 어렸을라나 수수 계지 쉐와 디 카두 쉐바다 고고 말와 디 디스 치슈치네 고디고라 디 무슨 레벨라다 니츠디 마저로체 라 니츠디 마저로 손자 아니 레바기 다고 셰차 마사라이데 하마고 치네 디 니츠디 마저기 바도 아니 아주 다드 알라네 구디요레스.
We'll also stutter on our consonants because our brain doesn't realize we've said it yet, so you'll say like ta 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 until you get the feedback of, oh, I already said the T, now I can keep going.
단다 디어로 카르사 아주 양갈라 레용디 아니 코 파나리아디 치기레스 아니 세제다 체바이나 아니 코 아주 카디보나 신치네 답변되네 카스나 레바기디 다 라차와디 하마고 봐도 아니 코 카술 다디 양갸 아니 뚱고레스.
So with the goggles, we created an error in your visual input, and your brain learned to adapt so that you could still make motor movements successfully with that error.
다 단기 믹시 코엔베 값수 추다 네주 조르와처럼 네주 조와디 다 노네 쿄네 아니 용거와 디 아니 레벨 다조 아니 레벨기 다디 페주체네 아니 가족이 다 류기 차와체처럼 디코 아니 디 시송게 아니 카서 딜라테네 아니 정다체네 아니 신두고레스.
With the speech jamming, we're creating an error in your auditory feedback, and if we had you keep the headphones on long enough, you would also adapt, and you would no longer be screwed up in your speech with that feedback.
다 단다 암주 공야디 제바이나 아니 소다 네주 조레디 테스트 치슈진 조로라 이나야 레버기 토스네 코 디두레스 코디 코라 디 카르소레 디네 아니 단지 당보 고주바나 신진이 용마레스.
So this is
레버기 정다 레벨을 정다 탭두레스.
So this is a general principle of the brain that is constantly monitoring our behaviors, and if it detects an error in what we're doing, it's going to automatically help us correct that error. And this is happening through all our sensory systems, all of our behaviors, all of the time.
디 레베기 내가 제단기 zanzin스로 직 레스 레베기 가투 있나야 로 뒤따도 아니 잘하체네 로 아니 카르소레 간주기 다 왕신의 주용외 내주도저다 안 대라 참배 간주기 내가 지기도 면도 잘하 제제바레스 디 무슨 자 논리지 쇠바이나 남산 레베기디 요사 아니 제투고요레스.
Would one more person like to try it before we go to break?
다 당람 심바 니버지기 전도 요베스. So you want him to talk about his experience?
Anything you want to, so long as it's something you can just talk about easily.
가리콜레 셰네 디그레스 남준다 가르 셰 삼루시라 따먹고 진 답되고 셰투에 가리네 디그레스. ETSI 콜레 싱베. 랍제지게래.
나마상마라 데스텔레 당에 드린 시에디 가렌스나 더 잡았을래도 갈사디 더 잠 못도 알아야 아니 자동도 삽삽 맞춰와야나 아니 하고 오라디 제가 가리 아니 갈사 다들 제로 되겠다 계속 소양경에 답되기도 돼. 가서 나라 랍교지 술래라. 랍사에메 나무로 잘
So his experience is, since he is hearing himself a little bit delayed, he's not sure whether, laptai me hagu mendos. So he feels as if, when he hears himself, whether he has already spoken that or not, so he has to, pause and think about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. I don't know what time it is. We have 3 minutes. We probably have time for one more person if you want to. Oh, here we
go. So he cannot hear from this ear. His that hearing.
I think it'll still work.
So yeah. So he's going to recite something that he has memorized.
Okay.
아니 다들이 가르쳐나 다른 이시 짜시오라 디노 아주 조마기 가르치고 그래서나 아니 파쇼 아니서도 아주 조마기 랭가 도하기 다 차시오래 어디인데 아니 조마기 하고 와지시오
네 영화 가르쳤어 냠뇨 영화 가르쳤어 네 수수다
디노를 야부 꾸마서라 디노는 나로기 셔야지 마도 디노 같이 꾸마서
말에 그냥 수수 셔야지 고고돼
나로기 셔야지 고고
어디 고고래
어디 디노 고고더라 디노 똥바다 치고 고
디네네 고고도 가와네 고고도 실로네
실로니
디 코란 코엔데와 디네 고고다 알아 오케이
어디 고 디나 간다 차위 셔하고
알아 so yeah he cannot hear from one ear but from the other ear he could hear himself speak 디게 그냥 계시알 믹스에 게 슈겐 테마세
그래서 가르스는 게 가르스는 디노 주시오라 신박 시오 낙선데 직대지 니 공개를 찼어
알아 so he was paying attention to that because he didn't know whether someone else was talking to him.
Interesting. Yeah. Good job. All right, let's go ahead and have our tea break, but I'm happy to let other people try this if you want to as we go through break.
that's such a person shagging yes and dibara de la yang kan zo de nang de yena de pe shows can like